Afternoon, Jason and Audra. And Jason, I want to thank you because Audra and I have actually not met face to face, virtually or in person, before today.
Well, I'm a connector of people, so I'm thrilled to have connected the two of you.
So I do believe that's one of your best qualities. You are truly a great connector. You're a great networker.
I try. That's one of the things I was kind of working on, with Columbus Day yesterday. Us Slack bankers got to take the day off. So this is really kind of my Monday. So I've got a couple of administrative things I'm working on. And some of those were connecting a couple of dots. I've been using LinkedIn a lot to do that. Like I actually am now starting to put two connections in a conversation, make sure they start talking, and then I leave the conversation. And that seems to be something I'm doing a lot of right now.
How much time do you spend doing that a week?
A decent bit, because partly I think it will come back to me, right? So if I keep connecting people, eventually someone will say, hey, this guy connected me to someone else, and maybe they'll connect me to somebody who'll be important in my life one day. And so that's what I look at. I really just try and look and say, this person should know this person, and why do they not already know each other is really kind of the way I look at it.
We're in the business of relationships, that's for sure.
Yes. Well, and that's what craft beer is all about, right? I mean, so Audra and I are on the boring side of it, but it is
not boring.
It's a lot more boring than beer is.
So Jason, and Audra, what do you both do in the craft beverage industry for anyone who's not familiar with you?
Go ahead, Audra.
So I'm a fractional CFO within the beer industry. I've been in the industry for 13 years, started out as the controller at Dogfish Head, then got hired as the CFO of Mother Earth Brewing in North Carolina. And since 2013, I've owned Brewed for her ledger. So a fractional CFO, controller. I have a CPA on my team to do day-to-day bookkeeping, but provide strategic insight and do things like valuations, turnarounds, M&A work, really like set the ship right, or really get you fine-tuned for expansion and growth.
The important things that not enough breweries often focus on.
Yeah. It's boring to a lot of people, but I freaking love it. Numbers always tell a story. And Jason can also attest to that. And we work on numbers together a lot too. And our common language is a lot of the financial ratios that they run.
No, I love it. And Jason, for those of the people who haven't met you before, you're obviously a beer banker, but
yes.
If you haven't connected people on LinkedIn, what do you do in the craft beverage industry?
So I finance breweries is the main thing that I do. And so this year's been kind of a little interesting because some of that has been administering relief funds through the banks or trying to help advise, some non-traditional kind of lending sources have popped up this year. But for the most part, I am just out trying to find breweries and any other craft beverage stuff really who need money to continue on in their path of growth. So that's either a startup, someone who is starting brand new from scratch and they have nothing, or it's someone who's been around for a little while and there's demand for their product and they're looking for an additional tap room or, large scale production is really where you are. So I give money to people.
I pass some of my clients on to Jason too.
Well, I'm sure Jason wants you to make sure they're using their money correctly and know what they're doing. So it's a kind of a mutually beneficial relationship, I imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We work really well together.
And what are you two going to be talking about next week at the virtual conference?
Tying a bow on the end of your financials. So when you go back and look at where COVID kind of kicked in March 2020, there was a couple of ways that breweries could have chosen to handle their books. And I'm hoping Audra's really going to kind of talk about how they should be managing the day-to-day books. Because I think some just stuck their head in the sand and said, geez, I hope this works, right? And others are compounding on this. And so there's a lot to do. And it's really, you need someone like Audra to be able to come and talk to me. And so I'm assuming that in 2022, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want money. And so you're going to need to know the ins and outs. And so it's great because, I won't speak too much for Audra, but, she's really, really smart when it comes to this. And she really, really understands the business. And, and it helps when you get something that's very trustworthy because I can pass it along to someone and say, yeah, Audra touched these, we're good. Right. And that's a lot of what you're hoping for when you see those financials.
Very nice of you to say. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. It will be. It's things to think about as we're approaching year end. I personally am not taking on any additional new clients now until 2022. because we're wrapping up our 22 or starting to wrap up and work on our annual budget plans. So I'm getting everything wrapped up for current clients now and just working on future plans. So what do you think about, what should you be thinking about as the year end approaches? How do you get your books ready for tax, for your tax return preparations, so you're not caught off guard? What items should you have looked at as of January 1st and should be keeping track of? Now we have 2 months until the end of the year, a little bit more than 2 months, so that we can play catch up, so that we can plan for things appropriately within the first quarter of 2022, that it won't catch us off guard. We're not going to owe additional money, especially when a lot of us, this is going to be our slowest season. The first quarter is slow until March. We're very much cash flow deprived as an industry. So trying to get you to avoid some of those mistakes and just plan a little bit more fully.
I think it's going to be a very worthwhile presentation for everybody to tune in for. You both have so much insight to offer. I appreciate you being willing to share that. And I'll see you both in just a few days. So thanks again, and enjoy your beautiful afternoons in Georgia and Carolina.
Sounds great. Thanks, Andrew.